Dear Harstemer, Protoss needs to be nerfed. First, they start with a cannon rush. I somewhat ignore it and make triple racks, assuming I will be able to hide a lot of Marines before they get that something is not right, and assuming it will give me boost as they waste resources on multiple cannons and pylons. Stupid cannons get made at their base just in time to counter even if they do not see my evil plan. How? Okay, wipe my tears. And after that I make some stuff of those snipers on wheels and tanks to go through the cannon barricade at their base and defend from the flying stuff Protoss love to make always. That's why I did not waste scan, as they are easy to win with. But no, they have too much resources and have just enough flying lasers to kill my snipers on wheels and everything else, and then some. Just in time for my third attack of many Marines, they make flying ships that send small irritating ships from them and kill everything. P.S. This Protoss race is obviously OP. I wish there was only TVT and TVZ, but maybe even Zerg is OP a little. But at least it needs control, not only F2 like TOS and send flying ships away without looking. Maybe StarCraft needs TVT mode only, that would sure be fun and balanced. Also, without battle cruisers. Is Protoss really IMBA or do I suck? Heh. This was sent in to me by Fat Beaver from the European server, who is bronze and an MMR of 2100. And the question is Protoss really IMBA or do I suck? Heh. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, so here we are on Radhuset Station with Fat Beaver taking on Red Oper. Sure to be an epic Protoss versus Terran. I think this is one of my first bronze games that I've done in an extremely long time. It really has been a while, so I'm curious to see what the bronze level is like these days. I am hopeful though. It sounded like an actual game. It sounded like there was a cannon rush, which is... Ooh, the wall's not on time. Oh, never mind. I saw the depot queued up. I was like, oh, this guy, he got away with murder. But this depot was queued up from the guy that's building the barracks. So he got away with murder for about, 30, 35 seconds or so. Gateway into Forge, classic cannon rush. You have a second probe in the natural to make sure that the gases aren't being taken in the gold. Not entirely sure what this is for. The probe has been spotted. And Fat Beaver goes for the barracks front. I'm not sure if this probe has been spotted.
Welcome to the first person analysis. If Fat Beaver saw that probe indeed on the top right, we can barely see the ramp, and we briefly see the probe, we briefly see it again, and there is camera movement in its direction, but we don't see any SCV being sent out until we build that barracks. So actually he might have seen the probe and it might actually have been a response. Back to you, Kevin.
So in the complaint form, Fat Beaver says that this is a response to the cannon rush. But surely a better response to the cannon rush would have just been to pull 3 workers and to kill this probe. Or to send the Marine over. I feel like Fat Beaver might have lied. I feel like what might have happened here is that Fat Beaver wanted to play a 1 base 3 racks build, messing Marines while also getting a lot of gas in the bank, then saw he was getting cannon rush, and after the fact justified why he went for the 2 extra barracks. But if this was a response to the cannon rush, this must have been one of the worst responses movement-wise that I've seen in my life. Okay, well, it gets worse. Does move away out of the cannon range. It's gonna start attacking this pylon. I don't think this pylon is the one that's powering both of these cannons, though, is it? So this is cute. It's going to... well, actually not do anything. This was practically useless. Unless the goal was to free up supply for more Marines. No, don't put SCVs. know, the funny thing is that I understand this in a way. Because a fat beaver doesn't understand the range of the pylon. So he looks at this pylon and is like, oh, 7 HP. I'm maybe going to lose 3-4 SCVs. But I'm going to keep my refinery alive. That surely is a good deal. Then he right-clicks it, loses the 3. Oh, actually, only 2. This was a pretty tight move. Yeah, and then still gets attacked here by the cannon. Very unfortunate. Happens to the best though, Fat Beaver. I'm not going to blame him for that. Continues marine production. After a small break, by the way, now has queued up 5 marines in 2 out of the 3 barracks and 4 marines in 1 out of the 3. So continuing with some swift marine production. In a way that second gas also wasn't necessary because Fat Beaver isn't building any gas units either. He's just building marines. So the gas remains a mystery to me, although the factory does go down. The second gas still remains a mystery for me because do you really need a second gas to build a factory 3 minutes and 44 seconds in? I think all of us know that the answer is a fat and resounding no. Second factory now coming down, so it seems like we might be going into... I actually don't know what we're going. I think maybe mech. I want to say mech, but we have pure marine production, so I think a hybrid style maybe. These cannons are still here. They're not achieving anything. They can actually just be safely ignored. Marines haven't done anything yet either. So now we're gonna get a CC on the low ground. Oh, actually spots this cannon. Is he gonna shoot that down? No, he's not. I like that he just gives up as well. He's like, yeah, sure, I have, what is it, 12 marines at this point? This game actually shocks me. Because neither of these cannon rushes are really achieving anything. Red Oper just wasted. Well, it should have been a waste, but because Marines and SCVs got sacrificed onto the altar, that's not quite the case anymore. But it should have just been wasting like 1,200 minerals or so. Forge as well, like all your tech super delayed. Now there's going to be 2 more gateways on the way. There's already 1 out, so it's going to bring the total up to 3. We have a Stargate coming out, as well as having 2 cannons here. 2 cannons and a battery beat 12 Marines.
Die, die, die. I'm on it. Give me some.
I think so, right? Today, I actually don't know. I think maybe if you wait for all Marines, probably actually, can you run by this? I'm not so sure. Cannons have a lot of damage output, and with a battery, they get a lot of health. So I'm not entirely sure who should be the one winning here. Either way, it doesn't really matter because Fat Beaver has decided that attacking is not for him yet. He's currently up 33 army supply to 0 army supply. So if he does manage to get through, it should just be a win. Use the tank ability, please. There we go. Sieges it up and starts outranging the cannon. That's a big move. Okay, at this point, I'm pretty sure he can break this. Cannon on the low ground as well. It's gonna take out that 1 cannon over there. So slowly but surely, 6 minutes in, this cannon rush being cleaned up. Did you just lose a Marine? Yeah. That's just a test. Starts by attacking the pylon. Now attacks the second pylon. And now starts attacking a building cannon. Wait, what did he recall? This is... I feel like not microing here would have been much better. He recalled this probe. What was the thought process there? And also, what was the thought process here with the micro? This is a... Look at this. I'm just going to keep watching this fight again. This is mesmerizing. Just this entire interaction. How many Marines? We have... What is this? I can't count. Is it 18 Marines? 18 Marines against 2 cannons. A pylon has 200 HP and 200 shields. A cannon has 150 and 150. You would say you first attack the battery and then the cannon, or first the cannon and then the other cannon. You know, that to me sounds like a normal thing to do. Also, scouting with 2 Marines, losing them, then going back in doesn't seem very bright. Instead, he goes for the first pylon, losing a lot of work, a lot of Marines. Then goes for the second pylon, once again losing almost all the Marines. Then we get the probe pool here. Then we get the probe recall. Now this probe recall is so confusing that Fat Beaver here decides to then right-click a building cannon, which isn't being powered, by the way, because he probably believes that this is a pylon, which might once again power these cannons and the battery. Gets killed by a probe pool. Still manages to snipe this cannon. And then starts moving back. Rather than shooting, just runs away, taking a lot of damage, and now finally starts killing some workers. I feel like this must have been one of the worst executed engagements that I've seen in my entire life. Just everything about it was wrong. And at this point, the Stalkers are out. As well as an Oracle. And then the fight ends. And we went from 33 army supply to 0, to 12 army supply for a Protoss, and 10 for the Terran. Phenomenal gameplay. Tanks still struggling here with the question of range. He almost lost 2 tanks to 3 static defenses. The one thing that the cannon is good against. Or sorry, the one thing that the tank is good against. This tank is also... Okay, still blocking the Natural. It's just gonna piss off right now. Natural is flying over indeed. We still have a 1 Marine contain on the outside. More cannons being built. We have double Stargate Void Ray now being produced. High level moves. We still have two tech labs here on the factories. I like the... Oh my god. Every time I click a building, I just see freaking 4 units being queued up the entire time. Isn't it great that despite only mining from 1 gas, Fat Beaver has been capable of basically building factory units whenever he wanted to? That also probably has something to do with that the production isn't that constant out of the Fat Beaver, but yeah, the defending of the initial second refinery, perhaps not so necessary. The tank is gonna finally clean up this cannon rush. It only needed 8 minutes and about 30 seconds to clean up those 5.5 cannons that Red Oper went for. As Fat Beaver has another plan. After the initial attack, he now decides that the next move is going to be to rally Cyclones and Marines across the map. Or at least, yeah, so 2 Marines, 4 Cyclones. As well as the tanks. Or at least one of the tanks is going to be sent across the map. Oracle's making their way towards the main base. Does mean he's going to probably lose every single worker that he's ever had. Because there's really no defense here. So Cyclones coming out now. Could be used in defense. Could also be used for running across the map while you're losing your workers. Okay, gonna send it back. That's a good move. I like that. Cyclone's gonna stay alive. We'll take both of these out. As meanwhile, our contain is setting up. Now, this is exactly what we need right now. A long and never-ending contain. Because there's only 1 more base inside here for Fat Beaver. Fat Beaver is containing his opponent on 3 bases, while Fat Beaver himself only has, well, practically 1 mining base with 24 workers. Yeah, I know there's a second base and he can drop mules, and a lot of mules at that. But he only has 24 workers. He's gonna lose a couple more as the double Void Rays now pop in. Marines probably need to be used to deal with that. I also love that he just dropped all the mules, while the only way to reliably get vision on the high ground right now is going to be to use scans. So using those 5 mules wasn't entirely brilliant. Do love all the turrets here that are being placed down. It's a good move if you just want to be mining from 1 base for the rest of your life. A better move probably would have just been to send the Cyclones back for, you know, just a little bit. Just to deal with the air threats that are coming to your base semi-frequently. As none of these turrets are actually going to end up finishing up. We have 3 tanks now that are being sent out. actually would think that would be in range of the cannons. Holy crap, how did he calculate that? This is like a warning to the opponent as well. It's like, hey, I'm containing you with tanks. If you don't have the unit right now, that doesn't matter. I'm not planning on attacking you yet. But be warned, okay? I'm coming for you with scans. How many more scans? Okay, he actually managed to save up once again. And he's only been here for a minute and a half. As now the Void Rays have actually already materialized. They're just gonna burst through all of these cyclones. I think that might just be the end of this almost successful contain. Now, it would be easy here to make fun of Fat Beaver and say, you know, maybe he should have moved quicker, maybe he should have had different units, maybe keeping your opponent contained while you have half of your opponent's eco isn't good. But those are cynical comments, and I'm not much of a cynic. Because how in the world could Fat Beaver have known that if he just parks outside here for 2.5, 3 minutes, that his opponent was gonna build more air units after already having done that? He can't look into the future. He's not Nostradamus. It's just not possible. Although in the forum he actually did mention that he didn't require scans because he already knew air units were gonna be built. So maybe we actually can blame him, because maybe he can look into the future. He just has such a good read at the bronze level Protoss players. He knows exactly what to expect. Our follow-up is going to be a carrier and more Void Rays, while Fat Beaver has temporarily halted factory production and is back on the marine grind. I really like his binary nature of thinking here. Is that if he needs anti-air, he's building marines. Actually, I don't know why he thinks a cyclone is good. Because he builds cyclones, but I'm not sure. You know, very often lower level players, they have one unit that deals with a very large group of threats. And I feel like for Fat Beaver, the marine is the unit that deals with anything air related. The tank is the unit that deals with static defense. And then the cyclone, I think he probably just mixed in because it was there in the factory. I don't quite know. And you can build it with and without a tech lab. Just, you know, versatile unit. We're now seeing a starport being thrown down, as well as vehicle plating starting, which is good. Because not only does he have 22 marines, but he also has 2 cyclones. And you wouldn't want those two to stay unupgraded. I like the prioritizing of upgrading the vehicle plating for the 2 cyclones over upgrading the armor on the marine. This is a high level move. It's so high level that we don't actually see it very much. And Sarah right now also scratching his head, not entirely sure what's kicking off yet. But he's investigating, that's for sure. That sounds interesting. +1 attack starting for Red Oper, who's decided to add another Stargate to add into his massive Void Ray amount that he already has here in the naturals. Whilst the carrier, Fort Base is done. 74 workers, his macro is actually not bad. He's not mining a whole... Wait, how does he have 74 workers? And is he mining 1,400 minerals? Is it perhaps because he has 26 workers in the main base? Where's all the other workers though? I feel like I'm just missing workers. 26. What is this, like 18? There's a couple over here. Is this number correct? That's 74. I guess he just has a lot of idle workers as well, just kind of standing around. One more worker over here. We have a random Void Ray just sent out. Oh, we're gonna get our combat shield. 15 minutes in. After having lost 46 marines, decided that maybe combat shield would be a worthwhile investment. 2 medevacs are also out though, I do like that. Some healing for the marines. Stim also has started. As cannons once again being built. This game, I'm not gonna lie, feels fairly over. I would be shocked. If Fat Beaver is gonna be capable of making even anything remotely close to a comeback here. Well, let's figure it out. He's gonna go in for a scout. I wonder if this scout will trigger something. I wonder if he thinks he's being cannon rushed again. He's like, oh, cannons. And they're crawling forward. Let me build some tanks. If he starts tanks now, then my theory was correct. Then my theory 100% was correct. I also like that he swapped the factory onto the reactor. Alright, that might have just been to get this tech lab to start researching things. Marine count's also pretty decent, by the way. 57 Marines against 11 Void Rays and 4 carriers. I'm not even sure if the carrier Void Ray player wins that. If they fight straight up, you know, I almost never see just like pure Marine actually has a lot of damage output, and this is a lot of Marines. Yes, the upgrades kind of suck, but +1 armor is also on the way right now. It might be somewhat possible as long as there's not too many cannons. As we just continue to sit here. Oh, no, we're not. A move out. 2 medevacs. Oh, both players moving out at the same time. As they say, great minds think alike, and apparently the opposite is also true. As we're gonna have... Oh, they're gonna miss each other just barely. Medevacs might be capable of scouting these carriers, and by scouting I mean flying into them and then dying. Stim isn't done yet though, that might be a huge issue. And the fact that he's down 80 supply might also be a huge issue. Because he can't catch the carriers. being outsped by a carrier is not on the bucket list of the average Marine, let me tell you. I actually really wonder if Stim is here who wins this fight. I think without Stim it's going to be very... Oh, also half the army wasn't there. And the medevacs weren't there. Loving the prismatic alignment. That is beautiful. Doesn't work, of course, on units that aren't armored, but yeah, there was a cyclone in there, so we'll count it. That was a god-awful fight. I can't believe I waited for 3 minutes of nothingness just to see that fight. Because this is the game, isn't it? Jesus Christ. You know, for a bronze game, though, this was honestly relatively action-packed. I'm very often, when I get bronze games, and I try to do a video on them, then there's like something happening at the 5-minute mark, and then something happens at the 12-minute mark, and then nothing happens for 38 minutes, where both players are building up a massive army. One guy is messing ultras in the corner, and the other dude is messing battle cruisers. And then they fight, and the guy that has the ultras goes, dang it, I can't shoot up. Well, nice 45 minutes of my life. And I'm just sitting there, like, why did I do this to myself? And then we decided not to upload it because it's garbage. But this game honestly was relatively action-packed, you know? This is one of these games where we'll look back on in the future. The historians of the future, they'll look back on this and think to themselves, that was a game of StarCraft II. Was it high level? We don't know, because this is the only surviving game that was left over from the IODIS era of time. But boy, StarCraft sure was being played back then. That's what they'll say. And it indeed sure was being played back then. I am just waiting for what Fat Beaver is about to tell us. Because Fat Beaver, I feel like he's the type of guy that has some strong opinions here as to what happened in this game. I'm feeling very good about a minor flame here coming out. Well, he's trying to evacuate the SCVs as well. He's like, maybe if I start a new somewhere else. Oh, the top left corner, I heard there's good resources there. It's like the freaking gold rush over here. He's actually just gonna wait until he's completely dead. This is a peak experience. This is actually a peak experience. Isn't this also how he ended his imbalanced complaint form? He actually just sat there waiting for all his buildings to die. Now, usually, I'd say that's disrespectful, but I have a strong belief that Fat Beaver doesn't know that you can manually leave the game. So Fat Beaver, if you're watching that, F10 is to pull up the menu, and then N is for the surrender button, the hotkey N. You can also click it with your mouse. That's also allowed. That way you don't have to wait until all your buildings are on. This was an absolutely atrocious game. I'll do both. But Red Oper played significantly better. It wasn't good, but really, really significantly better. Good pro production, good unit production, lots of static defense, combined static defense as well, as the battery and the cannon work together, synergizing, creating super static. When it comes to our good friend Fat Beaver, what happened in the early game there, my friend? You let the probe in, you saw it, you even told us that you knew that that your opponent was cannon rushing because you responded with the double barracks. So that was absolutely terrible if that was your actual response, rather than just sending 1 Marine, 5 SCVs to instantly kill it. Then as a follow-up, you went for a Marine attack that focused unpowered cannons, rather than killing all of your opponent's probes, pretty much for free. Your follow-up Cyclone tank attack took so long to materialize that you ended up with another like 150 energy on your command center after muling when your attack hit. So you probably stood there for 2.5-3 minutes doing nothing and then started killing cannons by the time your opponent had 6 Void Rays. And from that point on out, the game was pretty much over because your opponent had about triple your eco. You never defended any of the harass. Like, building 5 cannons in your natural and a battery is not a very efficient play, but losing your entire main base to 2 oracles and a Void Ray is also not a very efficient play. And I'd much rather build the cannon in this case because at least it allows you to continue mining. So lower worker production, worse armies, not researching upgrades for the army that you did end up getting, bad composition, bad upgrades, not dealing with harass, no vision, no scouting, slow pushing, and awful against cannon rushes. 10 mistakes and 10 reasons why you, my dear friend, freaking suck. And that's the truth. All right, that's going to be it for me today. I hope you all enjoyed this bronze special of the Is It IMBA or Do I Suck? If you did, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. Hopefully I'll see all of you next time for a new video. Thank you so much for watching, and bye-bye.